realize that some others will be joining us along the way. I'm Chris Mueller. I'm Vice President for College Advancement. It's my pleasure to moderate this session with our President, Barbara McDonald. And good to see all of you and welcome you here. A lot of familiar faces around my screen this morning. What I think we will do is, given the size of the group, we're going to try to make this as casual and interactive as possible. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask, you can put them in the chat feature. If you want to raise your hand, there's the reaction button at the bottom, and pick a reaction that you think is appropriate for the moment. We'll call on you when we get the chance. I'll try to keep track of who has a question. And I also want to say thank you for all the work that Lisa, Laura, and Brenda did to make this happen. This is a yeoman's effort to make a virtual event happen. You don't know how hard it is till you try to do it. So to the three of you, thank you very much for all you did to make this day possible. So with that, I will turn it over to Barbara to start with some opening comments, and then we'll open the floor to some questions. Barbara.
Thanks, Chris. Well, welcome everybody to Homecoming 2020 in a virtual environment. This is something probably new for all of us, right? We didn't expect to be gathering this way. Last year, Chris mentioned it was raining, but I have to say that thanks to Sister Lois and the sisters in the monastery who prayed so hard for the rain to go away, we actually had sun come out at 2 o'clock, just in time for the parade. I don't know if you remember that, Sister Lois, but it was wonderful. So. And as Chris said, the football game was delayed, but we still all got there and had a wonderful time. So it was wonderful. So this virtual celebration looks a little bit different than we had anticipated. I'm in my second year at St. Scholastica, serving as the president, and it's been quite a year. In many ways, we count our blessings for the amazing staff and faculty who have really helped us through a very difficult time as we transition to virtual environments. But I have to tell you, the work was just incredible. And I'll tell you a little bit about how all that happened. But last year, of course, was a wonderful year. We had a wonderful inaugural event welcoming me to the college, but more importantly, celebrating the history and legacy of the College of St. Scholastica. So that was a wonderful event in February. Just prior to that, Chris and I were actually on the road out in Arizona and California, greeting many of our alumni and visiting with them, as well as some of our donors. And I see Matt's on the call. And last time I saw you was in Arizona, I think, Matt. So great to have you back on board here with this virtual event. And so after February, we kind of went into a period of transition. Somewhere in the middle of March, we had to drop everything because of the COVID pandemic situation and move our entire operations into a virtual environment. And so that meant that our employees were working remotely, our students transitioned to online and other kinds of virtual learning experiences. And our students left our residential halls, at least most of them, and went back home. So it was a difficult time for all of us, especially for our seniors who were missing out, of course, on their end of their senior year. And many of our student athletes weren't able to complete their seasons, obviously, because of the situation. But in true fashion, I must say the college community rose up, and Saints Rise Up became our motto as we went into the summer months planning for this fall. At the same time, we also faced a lot of other events across the country, in particular, paying attention to the issues in Minnesota with the death of George Floyd and the aftermath of the social unrest. And we focused a lot of our attention then back onto the situation at St. Scholastica, reinvigorating our inclusive excellence plan. We hired a chief diversity officer in May and have been working hard to move our college forward underneath that plan. So we've made a lot of progress, but we have much more to do. So we're busy with that, of course. But we formed a committee called the Saints Rise Up Steering Committee, and that group has been working since the middle of March to make adjustments at the college as we faced the pandemic and the impact of the pandemic. So our campus looks different. We were able to put together a great plan to welcome employees back to the campus and for our students to return. Those of you who are on the earlier call with Megan probably heard a lot about the different activities that are going on in different ways for our students here at the Duluth campus. And with that, we also welcomed our student athletes back, but they're not competing this fall. They're practicing, but not competing. And as we go into the spring semester, we hope that we'll be able to have competition across all of our sports. It's you know, the athletic department has been just amazing. It's been quite a up and down situation, roller coaster with the NCAA and different rules that have been coming out. The conditions right now on campus, we're seeing an uptick in the Duluth and St. Louis County area in terms of the number of positive COVID cases. And we've seen that same reflection here at the College of St. Scholastica. If you're interested in tracking some of that information, we encourage you to go to our Saints Safe Return, CSS Safe Return website, and has our entire plan for returning to campus, and then frequently asked questions, as well as a tracking mechanism, an alert chart that shows you kind of where we are in our decision-making process. And at this point, we're just over 1% of the population testing positive for COVID. We have an amazing student health services team that has come together to help us through this with testing and tracing. We've gone pretty much above and beyond all the requirements to make sure that we're keeping folks safe. And Dana Moore, some of you know Dana, she's our volleyball head coach, has stepped up and is delivering meals to students and getting groceries to students who are off campus, and really doing an amazing job keeping everybody connected. So she's just offered so much to the students that are in isolation or quarantine off campus. By and large, our students are who have been affected by the virus are doing well, if you will. They're either asymptomatic or showing very few symptoms. And none of it's been traced back to the academic experience. So, you know, some of the infections are really because students are leading normal lives. This isn't caused by any wild parties or, you know, large events and things like that, but simply, you know, going out to dinner with friends or, you know, going to the grocery store, whatever, they've been, you know, affected that way. The students themselves have been doing an amazing job in terms of social distancing and wearing their face coverings and making sure that they're following the pledge. But this virus, as you know, is very unpredictable. So we're just dealing with it as we go. And I think people are doing a great job. So this year too, we're celebrating a new value of the year, community. And I mentioned the community pledge, and I'm going to thank Sister Kathleen Del Monte. She's on the call today. She and her team have put together that pledge and have done a great job promoting that piece of community this year. It's been a community in a different way, whether we're doing a virtual happy hours or we're getting together in small groups. It's a different way of building community, but more than ever, our values have really shown through this year and been the guideposts for our work at the college. So anyway, I want to stop there. Chris, you have some questions, or if anybody has any questions, we have just wanted to make this more casual and give the opportunity just to have a dialogue here. So just open it up for any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask or comments they want to make? Feel free to unmute yourself. Vanita.
Thank you so much, Dr. McDonald. It's so nice
to see you,
Vanita. Just a quick question. You know, around the country, you hear about the financial impact on universities that COVID is having, and just wondered, in just sort of a rough terms, how are things going at CSS as far as the future looks? You get worried when you hear about smaller colleges having, you know, feeling the impact in a huge way. So just was curious.
Yeah. Thanks for that question. Of course, like all institutions, we have been affected by the COVID, obviously, financially. And we've been working with our board of trustees on a plan for recovery, probably be more of a multi-year plan versus a single-year plan. But over the spring and summer, we took some steps to mitigate those budget concerns. Some of those included a volunteer furlough program. We also implemented a reduction in salary, starting with the president's office, and also took a look at some of our benefit packages. These are temporary measures. We're hoping that they won't last more than 12 months, but that's some of the initial work that we've done. So our work over this next year really is to try to figure out, how we're going to balance our budget moving forward, but we know that's not going to happen in a single year. So the Board of Trustees has been amazing to work with. We have a strong endowment and unrestricted funds available to us. And so our Vice President of Finance and our entire team is working together on plans moving forward as far as what we can do to decrease expenses and increase revenues, which is what everyone's focused on. We have some exciting new programs being rolled out next year too. So there's new program development underway, which we feel will really help us in the long term.
Anyone else have a question? Next question. Somebody. Sister Lois.
This isn't a question, this is a comment and an affirmation. Saints Rise Up is a wonderful way to describe what's happening, and your leadership has just been awesome, Barb. We can't say, I personally, and we as the monastic community can't say enough for how you are truly a guiding light. The Spirit is really filling you and guiding you, and all the beautiful people that are working with you to make this work. We are so very touched. And the students like to say, we know the sisters have our back. But please know, even though we can't interact with each other, face to face right now, and in groups, we have your back, all of you. We pray every day for all of you to be well, to be safe, to be full of hope, and to continue to be just the beautiful light on our campus and in our community and beyond that you are. So we can't thank you enough.
Thank you very much, sister.
If I may, how are the sisters doing? We're obviously concerned about the kids, but we think frequently of the sisters and how things are going in that community as well.
Thank you for asking, Jason. We're doing very well. Everyone is well. We are observing all the guidelines with our masks and our social distancing. And as for everybody else, it can get challenging at times, but we know we're doing it because we care for each other. So we are all COVID-free, and we've been tested, and we're continue to be COVID-free, as well as our environmental services and our culinary, the people who work with us, for us, lay people. So we are very grateful, and thank you for asking. Yeah.
Well, God bless you. Stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.
It's been a challenge for us to not have the sisters physically present in our daily lives, so to be able to walk down the cloister walk and go to Mass in the middle of the day. We've heard lots of comments of folks missing that tremendously. So, but we know that you're right next door, and that keeps us hopeful every single day. So thankfully the sisters are doing well. And Sister Beverly and I try to connect 2 or 3 times a week to check in and share news and so on. So it's one way of staying in touch, right? And I ran into Sister Lois in the hallway and on a quick trip over for a delivery. So that was kind of nice to see you in person. But again, one thing that we know is that by staying safe, it means we need to isolate from one another. So that's been an important thing. I want to also just add some really fun, exciting news too. And Matt, you'll appreciate this. We're joining the MIAC conference next fall, and so that's a big change for our college. We've been with the Upper Midwest Athletic Conference for many years, and last May we're accepted into the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. So we're excited about that and what that will bring to the college. I think it's raised a lot of, especially among our alumni who are in the Twin Cities, knowing that they'll be able to get to a lot more of our games as we compete against the other private colleges in the state of Minnesota. So we're looking forward to that. And then secondly, we're moving forward with a conceptual design for a new student center here on campus. And that's been very exciting work. Thanks to a gift we received from a donor, we were able to start putting pen to paper on what that might look like, working closely with the students and hearing them and what they'd like to see in that space. So stay tuned. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but Chris and I are, and the advancement team are working hard to prepare for that. So we're excited about that too.
This is Susan. Thank you for your input and your words, Dr. McDonald, to the alumni and especially the engagement committee. I'm privileged to be able to serve as president, and I'm sorry I can never be up in Duluth. I missed meeting with the sisters and chatting and seeing the beautiful colors up there also, but in the
it really does look like this, Susan.
Pardon?
I said it really does look like this. That's the monastery.
Oh, wow, I know. Well, around the Brainerd Lakes area is just awesome. Also, I just have to stop the car and take a picture at times. Anyway, thank you all. That's a privilege.
Thank you, Susan, for the comment. Anyone else? Questions? I've never known John to be short of a question. You're on mute, John.
Yeah, I didn't have a specific question at this time, Chris. Thanks for putting pressure on me. But personally, though, Nancy and I just want to say we've been coming up to Duluth, up to CSS for 12 years. So this fall has been, it's been different. It's been tough. Just the one thing by having the three boys in the football team, we come up there at least 5 times every fall with the excuse of having to go to a football game, but we just wanted to go to Duluth. And through all of our experiences, we've met so many of the sisters and Sister Lois, Sister Terry become good friends of ours. And we've done things outside of campus with them. And we really miss that. We're hoping this will straighten out so we can start coming back up there again, even after our daughter graduates and we won't have any more children going to CSS, we still plan to come up and see our friends and that we've met over the years. So just a great experience. It's so good to see Matt Johnston down there. Got to meet him years ago with our sons and everything. It's good to see you also, Matt.
It's good to see you guys. I already sent a Snapchat to Michael and Chris.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
You guys,
Yeah. I'm sure they'll be real excited to see a picture of us sitting here. So
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt, how are things out in Arizona?
They're good. I mean, I'm still loving living here. It's still weird to me to be cheering for winter because weather is just so incredible in the winter months, and it's finally starting to cool down for us. So it feels a little bit like fall. The mornings are kind of like in the 60s, 70s, which feels a lot colder than that. But things are good here. It is weird. I'm glad. Thank you for everyone for putting this together and all the other events for today. And it is definitely weird to have homecoming going on and not having football going on and having some football at other levels and stuff going on and all the, the parity that's going along with that. Is just, it's definitely an adjustment, but that's pretty much been the motto of this year, I guess. So,
Yeah.
But it is nice to see a lot of your faces and I appreciate everything that everyone's doing at the college and it's still, makes me proud to be a Saint and I just appreciate all the efforts and I'm just, optimistic towards the future. So.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts. That's wonderful. I'm glad you and your wife are well. And like all of us, I'm sure you're working from home and we're all telecommuting now pretty much. So stay safe down there.
Cool. Thank you.
I have a question.
That's Jolene.
Yes. So
Really nice to see you.
hi. So just as my feedback, this is my son, Charlie, is our first son, and maybe it's a question for the veteran parents. So my son is not overly communicative, and it seems like, this is my first go round. So I felt a little bit lost because it seems like all the emails regarding billing and just kind of the startup things goes to your kid. Now, I don't know how it is for other parents, but I have a kid that, if you text him, he'll get it right away, but it never, they hadn't checked their email kind of regularly. So I felt like I was missing something. And I just wonder, is there a mechanism, at least in those transition phases? You know how Megan said, you're handing off the baton. We're not going to run with this the whole way, but those first initial weeks, something for the parents, like, okay, you should have heard about, or the billing or something. I felt like I was always playing a little bit catch up, and it all worked out. I mean, we got it sorted out, and I think he's much better at communicating with us now. But do other parents have that feeling, like all the correspondence is going to the student? Because I don't think I got any emails after the start of the year. Is that normal, or would that be helpful? Did other people feel that way, or is that just me? I mean, because other students might be better at communicating with parents. I felt a little bit lost in the beginning, and maybe that's a question for the parents who have students or had students. Did you have similar experiences, or?
Yeah, Jolene, and actually this year seemed to be a little different than last year. Second time through it, there's a process that the kids go through, or that families go through, completing the FAFSA. That triggers some processes in the finance office at the college, and then the final bill comes out. And we found that it was number one, there were some interesting wrinkles in the FAFSA this year that were, at least for us, were interesting, that put a little delay in our process. Number two, I think the volume of change that was going through the system resulted in a later presentment of the bill, at least for us, than we were accustomed to last year. And so it left you wondering if you were, not meeting the obligation. But eventually it did come. And I think it comes to our, not the email I use mostly, but I think it comes to the email Vanita uses primarily. And so then she forwarded it to me. But typically we expect and look for that email from One Stop or the CSS that presents the bill. The challenge for us was just making sure we had the right password to get into the password protected document and actually be able to see it. So that's one family's experience. I guess the takeaway from that is you're not alone. Number one, it's a process that puts everybody a little bit on edge, because you don't want to miss it. You don't want to have your kid get a nasty gram saying, hey, what's going on here? But number two, this year was different, and any of the challenges you've experienced are probably challenges that are common to all of us who have kids there.
Okay. Yeah.
And probably across all colleges everywhere.
Yeah. So once I learned about One Stop and I can actually log in, but I maybe an email just to prompt parents, like, you should visit this, you should look for this information, or something to bridge that gap initially. And then, I think it gets easier as time goes on.
Jolene, I'll just say as a parent also, what I have learned, and I am not an expert on all the little acronyms like FERPA and everything else, but the student themselves has to actually, in their student record and banner, put your email address in there.
Okay.
You will get the emails. They own that record.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about
so
that.
They have to physically put your email address in there for you to get, and then you will get copies of billing statements and all that sort of stuff.
So that's under One Stop. He has to enter my email. Okay.
So probably under the parent record, your email is not listed.
Oh,
but like Jason was saying, all our billing emails and all those notices go to my wife's email.
Oh, okay.
And she gets all of them.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll sign up for that. My other
Yeah.
question was, there was welcome weekend, and this might have been a COVID thing. Was there a parent gathering on welcome weekend? My son does not live on campus, but they said, you're still invited to go. And then I went there and I couldn't find a gathering. Was there one and I missed it, or did we cancel that because of COVID? I'm just curious if I was just in the wrong place.
I'm not sure I can answer your question, Jolene, but in general, all of our welcome weekend events were restructured. And
Okay.
so we were actually not having large gatherings and things like that in person because of COVID. And,
Okay.
I just made a note of a couple things that you mentioned. So thank you very, very much for your feedback. And I'll have Megan follow up with you so that, she can walk you through some of those things too. The FERPA thing is federal law, in which we're not allowed to share information with parents unless the student gives their permission. I think that's what Chris was talking about.
Okay.
But that's that piece where your son probably I don't know. I have 4 kids. They've all gone through college as well. And I remember, the kids know that, but they don't tell their parents. And so, it's one of those things that I have 3 boys and I'm like you, unless I text them, they don't answer their phones or anything like that. So it's a matter of communication, but it is, I'll have Megan follow up with you though, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I have that 6 digits. So One Stop has been awesome. And once you know about One Stop, and you guys send out information about One Stop, but there's definitely the mechanics of, you have to have that 6 digits, then they can talk to you. But even just like a brief email going into the process, you've got a freshman, if you're going to get correspondence, otherwise all correspondence by default goes to the student. And I think that would really be helpful, just non-specific, not violating privacy, but saying, you need the 6 digits.
That's up. Yeah.
And, you're not going to get any correspondence unless your son goes or daughter goes on One Stop and enters you. And because that's something that has to be initiated by the kid, by the student. Right. And so, we got the general emails, like, whether it was welcome weekend or, what's happening on campus. But I mean, the nuts and bolts of, if you want to be involved in communication, this is what has to happen by your student. That would be helpful, I think, for first-time parents, especially.
Okay. Thank you for that feedback.
Yeah.
We appreciate the feedback. So we are almost at the end of our time. Barbara, I'm going to put you on the spot as we close, and I may pay for this later, right? But the question is this: what's one thing that makes you in this time still excited for the future?
Chris, that's a really big question, but this is it. What makes me so excited for the future is the students that we have at Scholastica, and knowing that in our mission and our Benedictine Catholic tradition, we are training and educating future leaders out there. The fact that these students who were born, our incoming freshmen were born in the shadow of 9/11, and now here they are as incoming freshmen and sophomores dealing with this. I'm very, very excited to know that they're going to be the problem solvers in the future for all of us. The second thing is that I mentioned it earlier, but our Benedictine values have never, they've been shining so bright this year. And that gives me a lot of hope for the future as well, because even as we've transitioned and we go through transformation, they stay solid along with our mission. And that gives me a lot of hope for the future as well. So, the tradition of the Benedictine sisters has always been one of innovation. And so, we embrace that and move forward, facing the challenges with hope and trying to be that light for the future generations. So I guess the short answer, the students inspire me every day. So that's the bright light there.
And that is a great place to end. So thank you all for being here for this half hour. We really appreciate it. Laura, do you have an announcement on what we're doing next?
Well, no, but thank you to you, and thank you, President McDonald, and to the group for all your great insights and questions, comments, and just thank you for your participation as we do something really, really different and really new. And rather than a parade and a tailgate party and all the typical things that we do to celebrate what it means to be a saint and homecoming, we're inviting people in for a conversation. So different kind of community building for sure, but thank you for being a part of this journey with us. We're starting our next session right now at 11 with Sister Kathleen Del Monte, who serves as our Associate Vice President for Mission Integration. And so you're more than welcome to stay on as